I'm about to ride. It's the KLH show, starring me, KLH. I'm telling you, you better hold on to something. Let's go!
What is going on, Waterburyers? Me, your man KLH, back in your TV screen, here to save the world 30 minutes at a time. It's been a little while, so I'm going to get right into it. And as you know, if you have any questions, concerns, suggestions, whatever, get at me. Hit me on Facebook, Ken Harge, Facebook slash Ken Harge, there it is. Or hit me on the email, pow! KLHOUD1 at Comcast.net. I'd be glad to hear from you folks. I'm going to be rambling a bit today. You know what I do. I'm going to be talking and get comfortable too. Yes, I'm going to, excuse me, I'm going to talk about this healthcare bill thingamajig because I'm getting mad. I'm getting mad at all the misinformation and all the garbage that's out there as far as people saying things that aren't true. And it's been over this healthcare situation that I have decided that I am going to support President Obama in his bid for re-election. I wasn't sold all the way. I certainly have a lot of concerns about things he has done and things he hasn't done. I think that so many black folks are advocating for President Obama's re-election simply because he's black. And that's fine, but at least be honest about it, say that's what it is. But don't fake like this president is doing a great job when I think that he's at best doing a marginal job. However, when it comes to this healthcare thing, and I have to admit, I always felt like it was a step in the right direction, but that it wasn't a strong enough step. But I've looked into it more deeply and investigated, which is what we should do. And I have to say that I now feel that this has been a very strong step in the right direction for this president. I think he deserves full credit for it. And as far as why I've decided to support President Obama over Mitt Romney was because I was listening to some of the talking heads on the political TV shows, there it is, and they have no answer for what they would replace so-called Obamacare with. When this thing first came out, the Republicans were saying repeal and replace. That was their slogan, repeal and replace. Well, it turns out they have no realistic solution for what to replace it with. They've had a couple of years now, since 2010 when the law was passed, they've had, I'm going to be reading a lot too, so bear with me on that. Since 2010 when the law was passed, the Affordable Care Act, they have had an opportunity to draw up a comprehensive document that the public can read as far as their solution to replace Obamacare. But there is no such document. And the reason there is no such document is because the Republicans as a party, I'm not talking about every single Republican, but the Republicans as a party don't give a damn about whether or not you suffer from the strangling cost of health care in America. They don't care. What they do care about is the fact that President Obama got a victory. First of all, he got the victory of when he handed John McCain his ass. I'm going to speak kind of plain here. And when he ran for president and won the election, they didn't expect this rookie senator or this rookie senator to come up out of the ranks who hadn't paid his dues as far as they were concerned, who didn't have the qualifications as far as they were concerned to defeat John McCain, who they say was a war hero and he has all this experience in the Senate and so on and so forth. So first of all, they're mad that President Obama whooped that ass when it comes to the election, when it came to the election. Then he decides that one of his mandates will be to provide universal health care to the citizens of America. God forbid he should do something good, because if he does something good, then that means that the Republicans were wrong about what he could do for America, and they don't want that. Because what politicians most often want, and it applies to Democrats as well, but we have a Democratic president, so as far as the Republicans were concerned as a party, they wanted to discredit this president in any way they could. So when he starts talking about creating a bill that would provide universal health care to America, they were against it because they don't want this president to have a victory. They don't want him to accomplish anything so that they could get him out. Mitch McConnell, the minority leader in the Senate, said that it was his primary function, his primary goal and aspiration to see to it that Barack Obama was a one-term president. He never said that it was his primary goal to see to it that our economy was thriving. He never said it was his primary objective that Americans could afford health care and wouldn't be suffocated by the cost of it. He never said that he was interested in ending the war in Iraq, Afghanistan, none of that. His primary goal was to see to it that Barack Obama was a one-term president, and that has been his whole, or his primary concern by his own admission. So, fast forward, the bill is passed. Slimly passed and is voted on pretty much down party line. It was mostly Democrats, or almost all the Democrats, and I think it was one or two Republicans that voted in favor of the bill. It passed, it trickled out, and now all the Republicans are talking about is repeal it, repeal it. We have to tear it out by its roots and all this stuff. And they say it's the worst bill that's ever been written. It's going to destroy our country. It's not going to curb healthcare costs. All this stuff. They say these things because they think that the American people are stupid. They think that you're never going to look up the bill. You're never going to research it. You're never going to read anything about it. And so they'll just tell you it's bad for America, and they're going to assume you're stupid enough to believe it. I happen to think that American people are a lot smarter than they give us credit for. I happen to think that we can think for ourselves and that we don't need them telling us what's good for us and what isn't good for us. So I did some research, and I wanted to share some information with you folks. I have a document. It is a summary of the Health Care Act. It is called the Patient Protection and Affordable Care Act. First of all, recently the Supreme Court upheld the constitutionality of the Affordable Care Act, and that made the Republicans mad too. However, what the Republicans did get from it was that the Supreme Court said that under the government's taxing authority, that it could compel people to buy health care insurance. So the Republicans interpret that to mean it's a tax. And see, President Obama just wants to tax everybody and increase government and all this stuff. Mitt Romney, of course, jumped on the bandwagon too. And he wants us, because he's a Republican, to think that we're stupid. He wants us not to look into his experience, his history as the governor of Massachusetts. Because everybody with a brain, everybody that watches any kind of political TV, everybody that's even somewhat informed about what's going on in the world knows that it was Mitt Romney's Health Care Act that he helped to pass in Massachusetts, that the Obama Health Care Act was based upon. He wants to sweep that aside. He has his Romney care. But now, and he also said that he thought that the mandate for individuals to buy health insurance was something that should be applied to the country. But now he wants to brush that aside and think that we don't know it. See, Mitt Romney is a flip-flopper. He is the classic flip-flopper. He says whatever he feels like he has to say in order to get elected. But we have to make sure that we're aware of these things, that he's changing his mind just because he sees an opportunity and not because he has a core that is immovable and that is solid and that is based on principles and values. Mitt Romney wants to be the president, so he'll say whatever the hell he feels like needs to be said. So back to this tax thing. I heard just today, which is Thursday, just today, Ed Gillespie, who is one of Mitt Romney's chief political advisors, say that this tax from the health care plan will land squarely on middle-class Americans, working-class Americans. What he doesn't tell you is that the tax will only apply to people who can afford to buy health care insurance but decide not to. He won't tell you that because then it doesn't seem so bad. See, the problem that we've had in healthcare up to this point, pardon me, I'm hitting the Budweisers right now, word up. What the Republicans don't want to tell you and want to try to hide from you is the fact that when people don't have insurance and they get injured, they go into the emergency room. Most hospitals, if not all hospitals, will at least stabilize you and take care of any immediately life-threatening conditions or injuries, sicknesses, what have you. And oftentimes people can't afford to pay for those services. So the cost of those services gets absorbed into the hospital operating costs, and those costs get passed on to who? They get passed on to everybody who has health care insurance. And so your health care premiums go up and up and up and up. Now, it is generally a Republican conservative principle that everybody should be responsible for themselves. An individual mandate is an idea that originated with the Heritage Foundation, which is a Republican conservative group. But these Republicans now don't want you to know that because Obama beat them to the punch and put it into law. So the cost of healthcare is going to be paid by somebody. And what the Obamacare, I'll call it that, stipulates is that everybody is going to have to pay in. If you can afford to pay it, but don't buy the health insurance, you're going to have to pay a penalty. This is what the Republicans are calling a tax. And in Massachusetts, where this law has been adopted, where the United States Obamacare law has been adopted from, they have seen that approximately 1% of the residents of Massachusetts wind up paying this tax. But the Republicans right now, or this penalty, tax, whatever, Republicans don't want you to know that it's only going to affect maybe 1% of the people. They don't want to be honest with you and tell you that actually you don't have to pay the penalty, but you will have to buy insurance. And the benefit of everybody buying insurance is that it spreads the burden of those costs amongst everybody. Okay? So that's that. And next thing, time is getting away from me. I could go on forever about this stuff. So I'm going to cover a few points. The next thing is that they say that, well, everybody's going to be forced to have insurance that the government tells you to have. Not true. Anybody that has insurance can keep their health insurance When the Republicans tell you you'll be forced to get other insurance that is decided upon by the government, they're lying to you. They're lying to you because they think you're stupid and you're not going to check the facts. If you have your own health care insurance, you can keep that. You do not have to drop it. Next point is that they say that, well, illegals can go in and get health care insurance now. Fact, illegal immigrants in this country are not eligible for the health care insurance that will be available in these exchanges that will be in every state in the country as soon as this law kicks into full effect, which will happen in 2014. It's being phased in from now up into 2014. So illegal immigrants are not eligible for health insurance under Obamacare. When Republicans tell you that illegals can get it, they're lying to you because they think you're stupid. Verification of citizenship is required under this law. Next, when they say small businesses will be hurt, small businesses with 50 employees or less will not be required to provide small businesses with 50 employees or more will be required to offer healthcare insurance, but they will get a tax credit for 35% of the cost that they are contributing towards that employee health care insurance. Got it? 35% of their cost will be credited to them, so it helps them out. They will have to bear some costs, but that's been the case for most of the history of the United States, that employers offer benefits to its employees. So there will be some costs, but it's not going to make employers decide that, oh, well, I'm going to go out of business because I don't want to offer benefits to my employees. It's a distortion. Tax credits are available to employers with 50 employees or more. And small businesses with less than 50 employees do not have to buy into the health care. There will be public options available through these exchanges that will take effect by 2014. I was under a false impression that there was no public option in this Healthcare Act, but there is. There are also mechanisms to monitor insurance companies raising premiums. The government will monitor that, and you can talk about, oh, it's socialized medicine and all this stuff. The only way these insurance companies are going to do right by the people is for the government to step up and do what's right for the people. I always hate when the Republicans are talking about small government, whatnot. If you think that the government is useless and shouldn't be involved in people's lives, then you should get out of the government and get a private job, and you'll make it a little bit smaller. Why don't all the Republicans get out of government and let the Democrats do it, since Democrats at least believe that government can do good? Now, I'm not somebody that thinks that the government should run our lives entirely. However, I think that government clearly can do good for its citizens and should do good for its citizens. There are so many distortions out there that is absolutely disgusting. Some more benefits of the Healthcare Act is that kids can stay on their insurance, on their parents' insurance policies until they are 26. Also, people with pre-existing conditions cannot be denied by insurance companies, which they are now, and the insurance companies cannot charge people with pre-existing conditions more money. This is gigantic. Also, Insurance companies cannot kick you off your policy because you've gotten sick and cost them a lot of money. There is no limit to how much an insurance company would have to pay out to you, so that if you get a catastrophic illness, the insurance companies cannot cap it off and say, past X number of dollars we're not going to pay. And that is exactly what happens now. But if it's up to the Republicans, they don't give a damn about any of that. They just as soon see everybody suffer, just so that they can say that Obama didn't accomplish anything. It's disgusting, man. So, at the end of the day, the Republicans don't want you to read what this law is about. Because, I don't know if I misspoke. The Republicans don't want you to read what this law is about. Because if you read, if you research and find out what it's really about, you'll get to see, you know what? There's a lot of good stuff in this law. No law is absolutely perfect. I am certain that there will be tweaks made to this new law, and that it will get better in time. They'll see that certain things work, other things not so much, but in time it will get better. But clearly there are a lot of really good things in this law. The only reason the Republicans want to repeal it is because they want to discredit President Obama. If you listen to them, they say, well, there's better ways to cut costs. You could buy across state lines, which if you think about car insurance, you can buy car insurance across state lines, but car insurance is expensive everywhere. I've shopped around for car insurance, and you can save some money here, save some money there, but it has nothing to do with buying across state lines. It has to do with certain companies deciding that they're going to beat out other companies in competition and whatnot. There is value to competition. However, there is no state that's more supreme than the others when it comes to the cost of car insurance. So they say these things, again, because they think you're stupid. And they throw out these ideas that don't have any real merit, hoping that you're not going to use your brain, hoping that you're not going to look more deeply into the issues. They also say, oh, well, we're going to bring about tort reform so that people can't sue the crap out of doctors and hospitals, and that's going to bring down the cost of healthcare insurance, which it will to a certain extent, but that ain't the magic bullet. And here's the thing. If they really cared about the American people when it comes to healthcare, when it comes to the cost of healthcare insurance, they would have already drafted a complete law from front to back, and it would be available for the American people to look at and to compare. There is no such document. You know why there's no such document? Because they don't care. And at least they ought to have the honesty and integrity to admit that. They ought to say to you, you know what? There are other things that are more important. Everybody's going to have to take care of themselves when it comes to their health care insurance. If you get sick, you're going to have to find a way to handle it. That's what we believe in. But nope, they want to treat us like we're stupid and throw out these little ideas like buying across state lines and tort reform, and that's going to bring down the health care, the cost of health care. It's a bunch of garbage, man. So I'm supporting President Obama on this. There's some other things that are happening that I'm not happy with. He has said that his administration will be the most transparent ever. It's not true. He fell through on that, and some people might think, oh, well, it's not such a big deal. It is a big deal. If you say it, you ought to do it. He said he was going to close Guantanamo in his first year of his presidency. He didn't do it. And to me, and people will say, oh, well, the Republicans are stopping. The Republicans aren't stopping them from doing that. And if they are, President Obama was smart enough to know that he would have political opponents. And he shouldn't have made a promise that he didn't know for sure that he could keep. We need politicians that have integrity and that do what they say. However, when it comes to this healthcare thing, he did a lot of good seeing this through, and I think that in time there will be more improvements to this bill as I mentioned, and it will get better and better for people. And remember, when the Republicans talk about repealing it, what they're saying is that kids who are able to stay on their insurance, on the insurance policies of their parents, you're kicked off because we don't want you to have that. What they're saying is that if you have pre-existing conditions, if you have high blood pressure, diabetes, cancer, whatever, and you lost your job, lost your health care insurance, and you want to get some, we don't want you to be able to get new health care insurance because Obamacare has to go. So forget you. They're saying that if you have a catastrophic illness and the insurance company has decided they're done paying for your care, Republicans feel like, we don't care about that. You're on your own. Remember, when they say they want to repeal Obamacare, what they're really saying is, we don't give a damn about you. So, that's it. That's the end of the show. If you have any questions, concerns, if you're mad at me, get at me, man. I will read your comments on the show. I don't expect people to agree with me. I just expect respect. That's all I want. And I'll read your comments on the air if you have them. If you have any other questions, concerns, whatever, get at me, pal. KLHOUD1 at Comcast.net. You know what it is at the end of every show. I'm not even getting off the couch for it. I'm sticking with the Bud Light, baby. You know what it is. May I live to be 100 years, and may you live to be 100 years in a day. Peace.